Hey, people, what is up? This is Ray Kaufman here coming to you live from beautiful, lush, thriving metropolis of Frankfort, Kentucky. This is the first ever episode of the Podunk Nerd podcast, something I've been wanting to do for a while. I know everybody and their mom and dad and cousin has a podcast these days. Well, now I do too. And I will be bringing in other people from around the area who are artists, writers, creators of comic books, all different kinds of stuff, game designers, game developers, and just fans in general to comprise this, what I hope will eventually become a team. If you don't know who I am an artist, writer, creator of different stories. Main one I'm known for is a story called Aurora. It's a fantasy action adventure story. And basically the reason I do fan art, I do original art, I do art, and the reason I do all of these things is because I have been a lifelong fan of comic books, animation, anime, video games, you name it, movies, fantasy, science fiction, anything that's good storytelling, but especially in the medium of video games and animation. That is really where my heart lies as far as like the things that I'm passionate about and that I love, and that's the reason that I do the things that I do. So basically I wanted to have a place, a forum where I could come and talk about kind of things that are happening in those mediums, in those worlds, and give us a place where we can lift up the things that we really love and we see that we're excited about, and also a place to come talk about, why we may be down on a certain project, or, maybe we don't like this or don't like that, but keeping it, positive for the most part, So, I'd like to bring in a few other people from around the area, but this first episode is just me. So I am looking forward to getting into it. So without further ado, let's get it started. So the first thing I want to talk about today, and if anybody knows me or have seen my posts or on social media or anything like that, I'm a big gaming fan. Been a gamer all my life. Since the NES days, I was hooked on Doritos and gaming, and I still love both those things to this day. So, Castlevania, the Netflix series, was so good. That season one, well, they call it season one, but really, I think it's really season 1.1 1/3. So they announced season 2. They dropped the trailer for it. It looks awesome. But I'm calling this thing season 1 2/3 because if you look at a traditional season of animation, it is about 12 episodes. So this second season, they're calling it as 8 episodes. I think it was written as one long story arc, but we'll see how it goes. The thing I'm excited about is they have announced that Hector will be a character in this season. Now, for those who have never played those games, you may not care too much about this. And for those who did play the older games but didn't care too much for the 3D Castlevania games on PlayStation 2 and beyond, Hector was a really good character from a really good game. He was the main character of Curse of Darkness, which was the second game on PlayStation 2. People knocked on Lament of Innocence and said 3D Castlevania doesn't work, and I agree to an extent. Lament of Innocence didn't really have like a soul to it. It had a pretty good story, and it was the origin of Dracula and the Belmonts and how that all started. If you throw out the later kind of reimagining of the story on PlayStation 3, but so Lament of Innocence, yeah, I agree. It wasn't very good. I can still play through it, but it was okay, for what it was and when it came out and for what it was trying to do. But Curse of Darkness was incredible because it takes place in the storyline of Castlevania 3. It's like a year or 3 years or something after Dracula's beaten in Castlevania 3. You're playing as one of his former like generals or henchmen who's kind of trying to make up for the things he did and realizes he was wrong, and he's called a Devil Forge Master. He's basically one of the people who creates all the monsters that you fight in the game. So I know me and a couple of my buddies who are Castlevania fans joked, there's like, oh, they're doing the Castlevania 3 storyline. How cool would it be if they put Hector in there? We said it with tongue in cheek because it was kind of like, there's no way it's not gonna happen. It's just kind of fantasy writing, if you will. You know, it wouldn't be cool if, because companies never ever do that. They stick with what's safe and what's known. But the the producer, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but the producer of the Castlevania series, he went on Twitter, his Twitter account, and he was like, "Look, we want to welcome Hector to the Castlevania franchise," and I was like, or the Castlevania series, and I was like, "What?" And yeah, sure enough, there was production art of him in like the season 2, and then the show. I saw the trailer. Of course, I didn't see the trailer right when it came out, but he's in the trailer. I was like, wow, as a little kid, you know. I guess it's a flashback scene or something. But yeah, so that is super cool. I'm so looking forward to that. I did some Castlevania reaction videos, like I was watching it and doing reviews of it for the original 4 episodes. I'm excited to see what they do with it. People are already coming out starting to pan it and not talk bad or whatever, and I'm like, look, just give it some time. Let it at least come out first. Let's see it. Let's talk about it. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. One of the big things about the gaming industry and gaming in general, because even though the series is on Netflix, it is, I still consider it in the realm of gaming because it's based on a video game franchise. Without the games and the gaming, this series wouldn't exist. So one of the cool things about the gaming industry is, you know, the fans are so diverse and what they love, and, you know, like what I love about this series may not be what somebody else who loves the series loves about it. I love the art and the music, and I think even though the storytelling isn't all that, I like the series because it gives you an opportunity to kind of write your own stories in your head. And that's what I did as a kid playing these games. I was a fan of gothic horror as a kid. People have heard me tell the story before that my favorite movie of all time is that original Vampire Hunter D from '85. I love that movie. It really turned me on to gothic horror. So a few years later, when Castlevania came out, I was all in on it. And that really was what got me hooked on gaming, was that game. But yeah, so staying in the realm of video games, like they had Evo this past weekend in Las Vegas. It's a convention they do every year. If you don't know, where they do esports like the fighting game championships. They do Tekken, they do Street Fighter, they do all these other games, and it gets bigger and better every year. I love watching the streams. I love watching the big shadow drops because I love fighting games. I am horrible at them. I'm the guy who wants to play the games, unlock all the characters, see all the stuff, learn some moves, but I'm never going to compete. I'm not good enough to compete against these people. They are incredible. Like watching some of these people fight at the tournament, the esports guys, I'm like, I could never hang with these people. But it's fun to play with your friends and get in there and beat each other up or whatever, but I could never compete. I mean, I would get destroyed. I mean, but so watching these people, it's just amazing to see how good they are. But so Evo was this weekend, and they had some big announcements. One of the cool announcements, well, no pun intended at all. That was a really bad one. One of the cool announcements was for Dragon Ball FighterZ. They announced that Cooler is going to be a new released character, and I knew they'd probably eventually do him. And I'm a big Dragon Ball fan. I love Dragon Ball so much. It's such a great story. When Dragon Ball Super was winding down a few months ago, I remember telling some friends of mine, I'm like, man, Dragon Ball just gets more ridiculous and more out there with how they tell their stories. But that's one of those stories and one of those anime that I'm like, just do it. Just go for it. You know, I can turn my brain off and watch this. That's fine. Yeah, this doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense with the previous series. That's fine. It's not Hamlet. I'm not tuning in to watch Goku punch somebody in the face and expect Hamlet. I'm tuning in to watch Goku just punch somebody in the face at different levels every 5 episodes, you know? So I figured they would do Cooler, so I was looking forward to it, but I didn't want it to be the sleeked down version of him that looks like Frieza. I was hoping it would be the big, bulky, Triceratops head mask version of him, because that's a cool look. That's a look that none of those other characters like Frieza or King Cold have. and they did it, and it was exactly what I wanted. So when I saw the trailer and he kind of transforms and he was like big, beefy, cooler with the big headdress and everything, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. So that was really cool to see. Street Fighter is finally getting, as far as like another announcement there, finally getting Sagat. They're putting him in there finally. That was a big moment for the people watching. I watched some of those YouTube reaction videos of people because I love watching people get into, like crowds of people, like get into, what they're seeing, what they're watching. I don't watch a lot of those independent reaction videos because a lot of them come off as disingenuous to me sometimes. Like I feel like they're just hamming it up for the camera, a lot of them. So I don't watch those anymore. But like watching crowds of people get excited about something, I love that stuff. That gets my adrenaline pumping. I'm like, oh man, it inspires me to sit down and make stuff. I'm like, well, people, get super excited about this. It motivates me to get excited about something too and get down and put it on paper. So I love watching those. The big one for me though was the Tekken 7 stuff. Anna Williams is in there. They announced Negan from The Walking Dead, which I thought that was a little bit weird that he's in Tekken because Tekken's not. Well, you think of Negan, okay? You think of the nail bat. You think of, Lucille and all that kind of stuff. I would think he would be more apt to be in Soul Calibur 6. They've same company's got another game coming out relatively soon because Negan, I can't see him fighting like any of the Tekken characters. So that was weird. Again, I'm gonna wait and see how that plays out because it could be super cool. I don't know. I'm not getting down on it, but I just thought he would be more apt to be in Soul Calibur because he could whip Lucille around, do all kinds of cool, crazy stuff with it. And Tekken's not really about weapons; it's about the hand-to-hand martial arts, which is why Tekken's so awesome. Learning all the different combos and moves. But some of the characters do whip things out from time to time. So, like in the trailer, I think Anna had a bazooka. So there's that. And then I saved my favorite for last. Lei Wulong is back in Tekken 7. I love this character because he is loosely based on Jackie Chan. And here's the thing. I love characters who are like aloof, kind of almost lazy characters who are really good and really strong or could be more than what they are, but are just kind of aloof, and kind of funny. And that's what Lei is. He is, when they introduced him in the trailer, he's kind of just chilling out, laying down on his side, and then he springs up. He's like, oh yeah, let's go, let's do this. Yeah. And then he says funny little things throughout the trailer. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's kind of based on Jackie Chan a little bit. I think his character is based loosely on Jackie Chan. I would have to double check on that. If you know that for a fact, leave a comment below and let me know, because when they announced him, for me that was bigger than the Negan thing, because everybody was like, where is Lei Wulong? Is he going to be in here? And because he wasn't initially in the game, because I think someone, a developer on the game, said that a lot of people didn't select him in the past or whatever, because he is a hard character to master. He is a hard character to learn how to use properly. But they said they left him out because enough people didn't select him. And then once he wasn't in the game, people were like, where's Lei Wulong? Why isn't he in the game? So I'm looking forward to getting in there and checking that out. The one of the things about Tekken I love so much is just how, even since Tekken 2, I think Tekken 2 was the first one I got into. I didn't play Tekken very much. I played Tekken 2 on PlayStation, and I really loved getting in there, and the fighting mechanics was all 3D, because at the time I'd only played 2D fighters like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. But the 3D for Tekken 2 when I played it was so good. I remember buying it after I played it at the arcade. I went home and I went to like Walmart and bought it. And I took it home and I played it for like a couple of days. I'd never done that with a fighting game before besides Mortal Kombat. I played some other brawlers and fighters. Mortal Kombat 2 was my favorite Mortal Kombat. I think a lot of people's as well. and I had that on Sega. But yeah, when I played Tekken, it was done. I was a big Tekken fan after that. So I was excited to see that. Evo is so great. I love watching the live streams and people who all go to Evo and all get in the tournaments. It's fun to watch that just community come together. And I think that's one of the reasons I love the gaming community so much, and kind of like the nerd community in general, is because, you can be however old or from wherever or whatever, but where you're born and who you are and your all that kind of stuff, it doesn't really seem to matter. Everybody comes together because of the things they love. And it's really kind of like for me, when I see those things in our community, and it's that being the nerd community, it really feels like it's the best of humanity, like our best attributes, coming together. And I know not everyone is like that, but that's what I see when I see like things like Evo and E3 and different shows and presentations like that. So it gets me hyped, it gets me pumped, and I really, where I do art, I do some fan art, I do my own original art, but anytime I watch stuff like that, it fuels me. It fills me with the desire to do my thing, So Evo was cool. I loved watching it. I was kind of sad to see it go, because I think this year was probably my favorite year watching it, because of all the coverage, and it was almost like being there. And again, the reason this is called the Podunk Nerd podcast is because, we can't all be where stuff's happening. And I think the tagline I joked about was like, we can't all be where shit's happening, folks. So it was that thinking of Evo and thinking of it being in Las Vegas was when I finally got the name for this podcast. And I was like, I'm calling it this, and I'm calling it this because of this, and it's true, for those of us who kind of live away from big cities where things are happening. Like, if you don't live in California, you don't live in New York, or you don't live around Chicago, it's kind of hard to sometimes feel like you're a part of that community, a part of that world. But you absolutely are. I mean, the internet has made it abundantly easy to, be anywhere in the world, be in front of people. Like I'm talking to you right now. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're at. You're listening to me right now. This guy from Central Kentucky who just draws things he loves and talks about things he loves and writes in a way that he loves to write. And, 10, 15 years ago, we couldn't have connected. So it's really cool. It's a cool time we live in. So, yeah, that's why the podcast is called what it's called, because, sometimes you feel disconnected from everything that's going on in the world, and you want to be a part of it, and you can't, and it can be frustrating. So that's kind of where I come from sometimes, with my work and with my art and the things I love. And I know I'm not the only one, especially here in the area that I live in. I know so many people. I've got a great community of friends and creators that we're all really excited to be like immerse ourselves in the things that we love, whether it be animation or comic books or games or whatever, movies. We all have a touch of that in us, and it's really fun to connect with those people. And I just want to connect with more and more people like that. So that's why I'm doing this podcast now, talking about games, talking about animation, talking about comics, and all the things that we love, because that's really what makes us makes our kind of community unique, I believe, is that we have this love for a thing that someone created, and it inspires us to create things, or inspires us to be better versions of ourselves. So I'm really excited about where we could go with this. I'm excited about where we could take this whole podcast thing. I know there's so many other podcasters out there, and this is actually the first episode I'm doing, so I'm keeping it light today. I'm wanting this to be usually about a 30-minute podcast, maybe work into an hour. The more people I have come on and we have more conversations about things, this could expand into an hour, maybe even longer. I don't know. But right now, I'm just excited to come out and talk about the news that I find that I'm excited about, that I'm interested in, and bringing other people in so they can talk about the things they're interested in. It may not be something that catches my eye, but it may be something that, I want to check out, or I want to know more about. So I've got some people I want to bring in, but we'll see how all that goes. So I've got some other little segments and things I'd like to do at some point, but I'm probably gonna cut it off here. So actually, no, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. I want to do a little something. This is kind of fun for me because I talk about this with a lot of people on Twitter and like on social media and just out and about. What am I watching? What are you watching? What are you watching right now? What am I watching? What I'm watching right now, I've been binging some Netflix. So there's a great show on Netflix called King's War. Now, I have a little bit of odd taste in things sometimes that helps me write. Like, I like to write big epic scenes while I'm writing for my fantasy adventure story. And something I really have been into lately is like the Chinese period dramas about the war, the warring states and all that kind of stuff, like the Chu Han contention from 200 BC. And there's a great show about it called King's War right now. I have really been drinking that up. Man, I love that show so much. I love the characters. I love the intrigue. I love the politics of it, and they present it in a way that's not boring, that doesn't drag. If you miss an episode, you miss a lot, basically. And I found that out the hard way. Now, it is subtitled. If you don't mind reading it, it is subtitled, unless you speak Mandarin, I guess. But it is in Chinese, Mandarin, and it's subtitled. The subtitles are really good on it. I've only seen like a couple of typos, but it's easy to get past. I've not been watching a lot of animation right now. I'm kind of not down on animation and the stuff that's out, but I'm just not up on the new things. Like I'll go back in the studio, I'll watch some old stuff, like I'll pop on Berserk or Trigun or something like that. Excuse me. But I finally got to watch. I'm a big Resident Evil fan, for those who don't know. I love Resident Evil, and I just got a chance to watch Resident Evil Vendetta, which was the third CG movie they did. The CG movies have been really good, I thought. I watched this one, and it started really good. It started so good. I thought it was really good. I didn't like the way Chris looked, just because I thought, you get used to the way he looks in Resident Evil 5 and 6, and then to see him in this, he looked younger. It looked like they de-aged him a little bit. I didn't know what was up with that, but it was cool seeing Rebecca Chambers in the story. Cool seeing Down and Out Leon. He was, in the bottle, so to speak. He was hitting the sauce, trying to bury the demons. Trying to drink his way home, and it was good up until Leon running away from the dogs on the bike. Then this thing jumps the damn shark. I mean, it was just all the ridiculous, not possible in the realm of even suspending your disbelief action. I mean, just crazy stuff. Like, there was a scene, spoiler alert. I'll give you a 3, 2, 1 countdown for spoilers. So 3, 2, 1. If you haven't seen it, stop listening right now. There's this scene where he's on a freeway, or like an interstate. I think it's like a freeway, and these zombie dogs are chasing him, and they're keeping up with a motorcycle, which I've never been that fast before. But anyway, he drops it, and these other cars are going by and stuff. He just throws a grenade behind him after this ridiculous jumping the shark action scene. He just drops a grenade behind him, and it blows up. It just blows up there on the freeway. I'm like, dude, there's other cars going by. Who directed this scene? And I was like, well, okay, maybe that's it. Maybe that's all of it. No. There's more stuff with the bike. He throws a bike at a helicopter to take out like a tyrant type of monster. And I was just like, what am I looking at? What am I looking at? This is so bad, But it really was a Chris movie. It was about Chris Redfield, which I liked. He's the original dude. But Jill's my favorite Resident Evil character of all the games. Jill is my favorite character. She's one of my favorite game characters of all time. So we need more Jill stuff. So I'd like to see a standalone story with Jill. I think that'd be good. So, but that's what I've been watching. I've not had a lot of time to watch stuff lately. I'm still trying to get through a Kickstarter. I got the first Kickstarter for my graphic novel Aurora funded last November. some things happened, personal life issues and stuff like that. I didn't get to work on it really for like 2.5, almost 3 months. I almost had no work done on it. So I'm still trying to catch up on that. Not doing any gaming right now unless I do like 30 minutes before bed, or play something just to turn my brain off and get ready for bed. And I'm not watching a lot of stuff either. Like I said, I'm just throwing stuff on in the studio. But things are rolling along, and the more I get done, I think the more I can. I'm looking at my art desk right now, the things I need to get to. It's just a pile. I've got like 4 different projects rolling right now, and I'm recording this, so throw that on there. But this is cool. This was fun. I really enjoyed doing this. I'm looking forward to getting more of a show format down. If you have any suggestions, you want to hear my thoughts on things, let me know. I'll be bringing in some other people, people that I've already talked to, and I like their points of view on things. I think they're fun people. I think it'll be fun to get some things rolling with them, and maybe start some like different side shows of things they're interested in. They can, do a show about this thing or that thing that I may not know a lot about, but I want to know more about it, so I'm going to give them a forum to talk about it. So the Podunk Nerd podcast, we are starting a YouTube channel, Podunk Nerd, at YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at Podunk Nerd. Check us out there. I'll be, throwing up random, things I find interesting, random posts, retweeting news I see, because I do that on my personal Twitter account anyway, so why not just do it on this one? So I'm looking forward to seeing what you all would like to see, would like to hear about. I'm going to be talking about news and all the things I talked about earlier, namely animation, gaming, and do some comic book stuff too, maybe a little movie stuff, but mainly it's going to be like animation and gaming, I think. So, but tell me what you want to hear about. Tell me what you'd like to talk about. I've got a slew of subjects I'm wanting to get to, so I'm going to have to break this down, get a show format down, but this basically the first one is like writing your first book. It's word vomit, right? So this first podcast, some things happened this weekend, like with Evo, and then seeing some other stuff. I wanted to get those things out. I wanted to talk about them. I wanted to talk with you all about them. So I hope you enjoyed what you heard today, and if you're listening to this on YouTube, give it a like, subscribe. If you're listening to this on iTunes or iOS, Stitcher, whatever you listen to this on, we will be on those soon. Give it a like, give it a rating. 5 stars is super appreciated. 4 stars, super appreciated too. 3 stars, cool. Hey, appreciate it. Anything below 3 stars, nah. just don't hit nothing. We'll see, though. It's too early for that stuff. But yeah, it'll be coming soon. So again, my name is Ray Kaufman. Thank you so much for listening. I'm looking forward to doing this weekly. I'm hoping to have this up every Wednesday or every Thursday, but we'll see how it goes. Might be able to do every Thursday. I think that would be a good slot for it. And I look forward to hearing your feedback. And so until next week, I will see you all soon, or talk to you all soon. I'm not going to see you, but I'll talk to you. All right. Thanks. Take care.